Hi guys, we're back. It's me, Dr. H, the Global Mentor Coach, and we've got Coach Nadia back with us and Shena. For another
Hi.
episode of Ladies, we told you we're going to do a 3-part series on self-care, and today we're actually talking, our first series was about the body. And today we're going to focus on the mind because you can't just focus on one part of yourself and think that's going to work, because sometimes before your body can get right, your mind has to be right. So that's what we're really focusing on this episode of Ladies, as we continue our discussion on self-care. As y'all can see, Coach Nadia is in the gym working it out.
Yes, Lord. Yes.
Y'all, the mind is powerful, and you see those commercials. They said the mind is a terrible thing to waste. It really is, but we don't take as good care of ourselves, because we think, especially in the African American community, that we don't go to counseling and we don't do that, and all these different things. But mental health is just as important as spiritual health or your physical health, because even when we start talking about the spiritual part of it, the Bible even just talks about just your mind. And there's another saying that goes, where the mind goes, the body follows. So a lot of times, you really have to program your mind. We talked about this a little bit in our first video about the body, and how you have to shift your mindset and discipline yourself. That really starts in the mind. How you gonna discipline yourself if you don't set your mind to do it, and to really, to really go there.
Exactly.
We don't really do a good job of taking care of our minds. And the first question I'm going to get into, and I'm going to ask Coach Nadia, is why is that the case? Why don't we do a good job, or even a better job, even in today's time where we have people who are bringing mental health and awareness to the forefront? Why don't we do a better job of really just kind of taking care of our minds? Or do you think it's mostly because there's a stigma that mental health is really for crazy people, or people who have certain types of medical conditions like schizophrenia and all this other kind of stuff? And yes, those are mental health issues, but I think sometimes we do have a different viewpoint of what mental health is. So tell us why you think we don't do a good job of really kind of managing our mental health.
Well, thank you again, as always, Dr. A. It's a pleasure. Dr. H, it's a pleasure to be on this platform with you. I say H, it sounded like A. Well, I think there's a twofold part to that question, in my personal opinion. I think ignorance is a bliss. People just don't know. They don't care to find out. And I also think there's a part of fear in that, because with taking care of yourself takes a certain amount of responsibility. And sometimes people don't want to be responsible. They don't want to be accountable. They don't want to really take the time out to investigate what is going on mentally. Do I struggle with remembering things? Is my brain cluttered? Do I have too much going on? Am I thinking too many thoughts? So I really think that people don't want to invest that time in, because number one, they just don't know, and they're not really putting in the effort to find out how to declutter, how to get that freeness of mind, and so to speak. So I think that's part of it.
Shanae, what do you think? What are your thoughts on, why we don't take better care of ourselves mentally?
I think the reason why we don't is because if you acknowledge it, then it's real. If you know that, I have, Coach Nadia said, if there's a lot of things that's going on, then that means I have to acknowledge that there's things going on with myself, or with that person, and they have to deal with it. And maybe they have to take some things away. Maybe they have to, add some things. But if I don't acknowledge it, then it doesn't exist. Then it doesn't matter. And, it could be fear as well. Fear of what other people are going to say. If I have to openly say that I deal with depression, then people could look at me differently. Then that means I have to go through treatment, and then I have to actually deal with the things that are causing me to be depressed. So I think that's why, in my opinion.
I think those are two very good points about why we don't take better care of ourselves. At the end of the day, I think both of you are right. sometimes we just don't want to face ourselves. We just don't want to do the truth. Like Coach Nadia said, ignorance is bliss. Because if I can remain ignorant of myself and my issues, I can continue on this unhealthy journey. But then at the same time, I want to blame other people. I want to play the blame game. I want to come up with 1,000,001 excuses. Why I can't lose weight, why I can't get healthy, why I can't get ahead, why I can't learn this, why, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of an oxymoron a little bit, because we want stuff, but we don't want to deal with do what's necessary to get there.
Right.
So it's kind of like, okay, our minds are really abusing us and playing a trick on us. It's a mental mind game, and we're losing. Like, we're on the losing side of the mental mind game. And it's really interesting to see how people view mental health. I personally think our minds are set to an unhealthy autopilot. I think, we are preconditioned based off of our environment and, social settings, a lot of different things. I think our minds tend to be set to an unhealthy autopilot. And if we don't program ourselves and we aren't careful, all of these different things that are around us. And we touched on this, Shena, when we talked with Arthur Guinea about all of the different programming on television and, all the sales and this and that. And, and we talked about the food commercials that are constantly bombarded on television. It's like every time a show goes to commercial, you can count the number of times a food commercial is going to be in there.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, a food commercial is going to be in there at least once, sometimes twice, maybe even 3 times. And depending on the program and the channel, it's going to be more. So, like, especially if you like to watch sports, it's always going to be a food commercial.
Yeah.
And and it's not healthy food.
No, never.
If you're not careful, that all of that plays into the unhealthy autopilot of our minds, because that stuff is subliminal. It's dropping seeds in our mind, and all of a sudden you want a cheeseburger, you want pizza, you want wings, you want that Wendy's 4 for $4, and now Burger King got the it's a $4 thing where you get 2 cheeseburgers, fries, and a drink for $4, and Checkers got a $3 meal. Everybody got a $4 meal, $3 meal. You got the dollar menu. Everybody has something. Taco Bell is getting into it now. They got the gordita box, the taco box, the burrito box. Everybody, they got $5 box. Everybody got this. KFC got the $5 filler, and everybody has something. That's an unhealthy autopilot for us. But there's others. There's shopping. That's an unhealthy autopilot, and all of this other stuff that helps that kind of plant seeds of unhealthy. That kind of contributes to that unhealthy autopilot. The other part of the unhealthy autopilot is, the way our minds run. A lot of times we don't know how to shut it off. So there's a constant highlight reel of everything we have to do that runs in our minds. It's always this to-do list.
Right. Yeah.
Even when we're on vacation or we're relaxing or we're at home unwinding at the end of the day, our minds keep going, because it's all of the things that we need to do to get to where we want to go,
Right.
So it's like, okay, but that contributes to, poor mental health. So, how do we get our minds to just pause? I'm not even saying shut off, but how do we get our minds to just take a pause so we can unwind and relax, even if it's just for like 5 or 10 minutes, like baby steps. Right. But what do you recommend, Coach Nadia, for what do you think it will take to get our minds to just take that pause so that we can unwind and relax?
That's actually a really good question. For me, what I always try to put into practice myself and tell to my clients is in the morning, when there's nothing going on, when you first wake up, I like to meditate. I like to just take a minute, like 15 minutes, and just clear my mind, not focus on what happened yesterday, not focus on things that are due and people I need to call. And I just take a minute to meditate and journal. That's just what I personally do. But in the midst of doing that, I just have clarity to really think about goals, to think about things that I really want to achieve instead of, okay, Bobby got practice at 5 o'clock. I got to cook dinner at 6. I got to do such and such. So I always tell people to take just about 5 to 10 minutes, breathe, exhale, relax, think. You know what I mean? Don't get caught up in the hustle and bustle of your day. Think about what's really a priority or just busyness. Because sometimes we just do things to keep us busy. Right. And that can clutter our mind because we're like, okay, I got to be over here at 5 o'clock. I got to do this at 6 o'clock. I got to do this at 7 o'clock. So I personally always like to recommend for people to just take time to really just sit, breathe, and meditate. Not yoga, meditate.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Shanae, what do you do? What do you think? What are some recommendations that you have that, you know, where to get people that will be able to convince people, or, you know, a tip that, you know, they feel like I think I can handle that. I think I can do that to kind of pause their mind to unwind and relax.
For me, I also journal, and I also meditate. And sometimes I just step outside. Just step outside and take in nature and just inhale and exhale, look at my surroundings, you know, get a feel. You know, you can also take that time to figure out, okay, what the weather's going to be like today. But, you know, just to really just embrace nature and to embrace your day. Sometimes, you know, if you have a hobby, if you have something that you like to do, you know, take a few moments to do that. You know, if you draw, you know, if you play the piano, if you knit, you know, just, you know, take a few moments and say, okay, let me just do this. Let me just have at least 5 minutes, like you said, Dr. Hughes. Just let me just have 5 minutes to myself and let me just unwind. Let me just either start my day or let me unwind and just relax. And then I could kind of, you know, go about my day and just kind of breathe. Just make sure you breathe, because the day could take your breath away. It really can.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Listen, I think both of those are great recommendations. And Coach Nadia, I really think you know, people can do what you do twice a day. You can do it in the morning when you wake up and before you go to bed.
Yeah.
You know, journaling is great. I mean, I'm telling you, you can release all kinds of toxicity.
Oh my gosh.
Just let it all
Yes,
out.
you can.
You know what I'm saying? And you don't have to write. You can video journal. You got video journals. You can, you know, on your phone voice recorder. There's all different kinds of ways you can journal. But I think it's great to get all that's on the inside of you out. Meditation is not a bad word. It's not a cuss word. I know.
Right.
Y'all,
right.
so y'all get too spooky sometimes when it comes to meditation, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
It's not
right.
Right, exactly.
That's why I said not yoga.
Okay.
Right.
Bible talks about meditation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not bad.
Yeah.
But I think
not at all.
it's good to just take a moment and, first of all, breathing. That's fundamental to meditating. Just breathe. Just sometimes we don't even allow ourselves to breathe. I mean, we breathe all day, but we don't really allow ourselves to focus on breathing. You know, we don't just listen to ourselves breathe, like inhale and exhale slowly, and just really just kind of have intention with our breathing. I'm inhaling goodness and I'm exhaling toxicity. You know what I'm saying? And really just kind of, like you said, clear your mind just for that moment and meditate on just good things and goodness and just like you said, what's priority and what's not priority. Here's the other thing I think people get inundated with to do is they're not good planners of their time.
Absolutely.
So, you know, there's 90 million planners out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you don't know how to use that planner, it's just a planner. I'm working on one now to where if you can break it down into 15-minute increments, because most planners are 30 minutes or an hour. But sometimes you have to break your day down into 15-minute increments, because if you don't feel like you have time for breakfast. I mean, I'm so serious, because that block convinces you that everything has to be in a 30-minute increment or 20 minutes. No. It don't take you 30 minutes to eat. You know what I'm saying? So you feel like you got to hit the ground running. But if you see 15-minute increments, okay, wait a minute, 15 minutes, that's not bad. You know what I'm saying? Some of the most successful people in the world, what do they do in the morning? They ain't hitting the ground running, they read. Warren Buffett reads a minimum. He reads every newspaper every single morning. So he reads like 6 newspapers in the morning before he does anything else. Before he goes to the office, before he starts making calls, before he does anything, he reads.
Wow.
So, you know, people have they have a way. So if you start conditioning yourself to kind of 15 minutes in the morning when you wake up, breathe, meditate, relax. And so if you plan your day the night before, you already know what you got.
Exactly.
So why not plan and schedule meditation and time to unwind and relax? It may sound ridiculous. You got to plan time to relax. Yes. Because if you're not intentional with your time will run and control you. Absolutely. So you have to be intentional with it. It really boils down to stewarding your time. So if I can steward my time in 15-minute increments and I start my day, say if I start my day at 7, I'm gonna tell you right now, from 7 to 8, don't talk to me. Like my do not disturb don't even shut off until 8 because I'm watching the word.
Right.
I'm watching Christian program. I'm getting the word from 7 to 8. I don't know what to tell you. Right. That's just me though. That may not be you. You might be somebody who has to get up at 5 or get up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning to be out the house by 5. And that's okay. Yeah. But guess what? Like my sister she has to. Her family gets up and they out the door 5:30. If they out later than that, I don't know, because they commute into DC. But if you got to commute like that, even down here in South Florida, if you got to commute to certain parts of Miami, you out the door. You got to be to work by 7. You might be 5:30 if you pushing it, But guess what? She wants her prayer time in the morning. So she works that in. I'm going to get up. I'm going to read my word. And I'm going to say my amens.
Amen. Yeah.
Because if it's important to you, you'll make the time.
Make time.
The thing is, we don't make mental health a priority. We don't, again, because there's a stigma around it, but taking care of our minds is just as important. So I think it's important if you just take some time out to breathe, relax, journal, meditate. You can do that twice a day. You can do that in the morning and, when you get up and before you go to bed. So now all of that. And if you start doing that, you'll realize that, okay, all the stuff that you think is a priority is not a priority because now you're managing better and you're realizing that this is a little bit ridiculous. And now you get, like you said, Coach Nadia, you have more clarity. You have more clarity about yourself. One of the things I like to do is affirmations. I'm just kind of like, right now, I'm the queen of affirmations. Yes. I have them on my walls everywhere. I got them on walls in my office. I got them on walls. I got them everywhere. I send out affirmations to my clients every morning. Like I have command your day. I send out the command your day affirmations. Today is a new month, so it's command your month. So we command our month and we command our day because if you don't, the day will. Yeah. And so I learned, the day may not go the way I planned. That's fine. Guess what? I have a corner on the planner that I'm working on for affirmations. So here's your mentoring minute. And, here's your affirmations for the day. And when things don't go well, you're going to write down everything that you're good at and what you need to work on. But you know what? This is what I'm good at. So when the day ain't going the way you want, look at everything that's good. And I'm going to focus on good. I'm choosing to focus on good. And even though this ain't working to my advantage today, I'm still going to look at this motivational corner here. That's going to make me feel better. I'm going to reach into my affirmations and I'm going to speak positivity and good stuff to myself to shift my mind from negativity, because it's a process. It's you have to work at it. You have to be intentional, but you have to speak over your mind. And I don't think we realize how powerful it is to speak over our own minds and tell ourselves to just stop. And just take a purposeful pause. And you can do it during the day. When you eat lunch, sometimes you may just have to leave the building, like Shanae said, go outside. A change of scenery is all it takes sometimes. Yep. You just take 10 minutes. If you get a 15-minute break on your work at work, don't sit at your desk. Get up, go outside, walk around the building if you have to. Right. Or just go sit in your car and come back. But get a change of scenery to refresh and reset.
I actually had a friend in college. Every morning she would watch it's like a baby channel with all the baby cartoons and stuff like Caillou and, all that stuff. She would watch that in the morning before she went to class. And then at night from 7, what time did it come? I think from 7 to 7:30 or 7 to 8 or something like that. She would watch The Big Bang Theory every day. Every single day. And for her, that was the time for her that was her meditation. That was the time because she was like in the morning watching, cartoons or baby cartoons was innocent for her. So when she woke up, it was like, okay, I have an innocent mind. My mind is clear. I'm able to focus. And at night, if I don't know if you guys watch The Big Bang Theory, but it's a funny show. I mean, it's really comical. Sheldon, that's my favorite character. Excuse me. And and it made her laugh, because if she had a hard day, she had a busy day, or if it was just hectic, because she in different clubs, school and all that stuff, it just made her laugh. So every single day she would do that. And people, of course, they would talk about her, or she's about to go watch her her shows, but she was like, yeah, because I'm calm, I'm at peace, it makes me feel happy. So, certain things, I think whatever makes you happy mentally, where it helps you to wind down, I think that's another good way to help as well.
I think you just made a valid point here. The thing about it is you're unique, and what works for one person won't work for another. But she was onto something, and I like the fact that she was confident and like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not going to let y'all bother me. I'm going to still do what, what? Because first of all, laughter is good medicine.
Yes.
It is. It is.
You laugh. Tell me, have a bad day and put on something funny and see if you don't feel better.
Yep.
Be sick.
Yep.
And put on something funny and see if you don't feel better. I mean, just sometimes just practice. Sometimes you might just need to practice laughing. And it's okay, but you have to know what works for you. That's going to get you in a frame of mind that's going to help you be at your best.
Absolutely.
Because if your mind is not in the right place, you will not be at your best. You're not going to give your best effort. You're going to think you're giving your best effort, and you're really not. And this is how burnout happens. And this is how you get frustrated on your job, even though you love your job, but everybody and everything on your job getting on your nerves. It's not everybody and everything else sometimes. Sometimes it's us because we're not in the right frame of mind.
Yep.
Right.
So we're not taking those moments. And so sometimes you might be in the right frame of mind, but everybody else tripping. That's all the more reason for you to leave your desk on your break, on your lunch, and go spend time unwinding, getting a breath of fresh air. And let me tell you, fresh air is very good for you. Go outside and connect with nature. Now, in the wintertime when it's cold and freezing, you ain't trying to feel that. And I get that. Trust me, I get it. Let that cold air slap you in the face. It's refreshing. It'll be refreshing. But, you want to get sometimes a change of scenery. It does. It does help you.
It does.
And I think that is very, very important. And before we go into our next point, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, but we're really gonna dig a little bit deeper about about our minds and the importance of getting proper rest and how rest really plays a part of mental health. So we'll be back after this quick break. For tuning in with us, and we're talking about a very important topic here on self-care. We're talking about the mind, and before we went to break, we were talking about the unhealthy mindset that we have that's already on autopilot, and we just gave some tips on how we can just kind of pause our minds to unwind and relax. And I want to get into the value and the importance of proper rest, because when our minds are constantly running, we aren't getting proper rest. You can be asleep, but you're not resting. And without proper rest, we're not functioning at our best. We're not at our optimal level. That means we aren't effective. We're not as effective or as efficient as we think we are. We might think we're doing something, and we ain't not. We just kind of sometimes it's kind of like we think we're doing something, but we're really like a hamster on a hamster wheel. Just doing a whole lot of stuff. Like Coach Nadia said earlier, we're just busy work. We're just busy, but we're not going anywhere. We're not accomplishing anything. It's just constant. We can use all the tips and tricks in the world to help us be more efficient, but none of that, and I mean none of that matters if our minds are not healthy. And you know, mental health is important to self-care,
Yes.
but you know, and like in today's society, especially, mental health is kind of like a bad word. I
Right.
mean, it's just bad. But
Yeah,
before you
it
know, we
is.
get into how we can shift the stigma around mental health, Coach Nadia, I want to ask you, you know, what have been your experiences? What some things that you've seen, you know, in some of your clients as it relates to them not getting proper rest, and how that affects not only their mind but their ability to kind of be successful in their physical, you know, in their fitness programs.
Yes. So the biggest thing that I see when my clients aren't getting enough rest is their energy.
Yep.
So they'll come in, especially if it's in the morning, because a bulk of my clients do come early morning. As much as I, you know, would love to sleep in, I have early morning risers. So they'll come in, they're late. They did not eat because they forgot because they, you know, were in such a rush to get to the gym on time, and their energy is so bad. It's like they can't even pick up 5 pounds without complaining.
Right.
So mentally, their head is not in the game, you know. And then from that fatigue, you know, something that people don't realize is that when you're not getting enough rest and your body's not getting enough fuel, you tend to overeat, and that's how you gain weight. You know, some people have to
Got
eat
you.
to stay awake, and I've seen that. You know, I have a client of mine where if she didn't get enough rest because she's also a student, she's eating to stay awake. And when you're eating those excess calories after you've already eaten your meals for the day, all you're going to do is add more weight to your body, more pounds, extra pounds that you don't want, excess
And lay
fat.
down and go to sleep
So,
on that food too.
exactly,
Yeah,
Digestion.
wow.
exactly, exactly.
Ooh, your digestive system doesn't have time to reset. We don't realize that when we're sleeping, our body is literally resetting. We have a
Exactly.
Yeah,
fresh start every day, but if you're doing
Every day.
that all night, when is it gonna reset?
yeah.
Exactly. That is exactly
Wow,
it. You know. So it makes
Wow.
it makes a difference. It really does. It makes a big difference.
Wow. You
wow.
know, and you don't think about how that affects your eating habits, and you know, you get the snacking,
Yep.
you get the
Hmm.
munchies,
When
you
you're
get
not even hungry.
and you're not even
Right.
hungry. And
Yeah.
then the other thing is too, if your mind is not right, especially if you're dealing with depression and some other things, you depress eat,
Mhm.
you just eat. Or
Yeah,
Yes.
you're bored.
yeah.
If you're bored, you just idle mind, you're just bored. You ain't thinking about nothing, you ain't got nothing else to do. You know, let me just eat. I'm not hungry, I'm just eating because I'm bored. And it doesn't matter if it's healthy. It doesn't matter if it's fruit, nuts, you know, vegetable platter, cheese tray. It doesn't matter. You're still eating for
Right.
the sake of eating to fill space and time. And that's not good either. So you, at that point, you really need to get to the root of why you're eating to fill space and time. That wow, that's just wow. Um, one of the things I think people should get, if you can afford it, is to get one of those Fitbits, or you know, one of those things that monitors
Hmm.
your sleep patterns at night.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you get one of those, it will tell you just how much rest you might be sleeping 8 hours, but you may only be getting 2 hours of rest.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So out of 8 hours, what's your mind doing for the other six?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you may as well be up.
Very
Hmm.
true.
That's just
Very
like
true.
you literally are up. So if your mind is not shutting off, is the rest of your body really resetting? Because if your mind is still going, that means your kidneys think they're supposed to still be functioning.
Right.
Hmm.
And you know, they function, but they're supposed to be functioning differently when you sleep.
Right.
Hmm.
That means your kidneys not getting rest. Your liver is not getting rest. Your lungs not getting
Right.
rest. Your gallbladder and
Right.
all of these other things in your body not getting rest.
Right.
So now they are working overtime. Your heart, everything is working overtime when it's really supposed to be resting. So we have to think about that. I think if more people really knew or had the ability to have their sleep monitored, so they know really how much rest they're really getting at night, or whenever they,
Right.
because some people work at night and you know their night is the day,
Hmm.
whatever your night is.
Right.
But
Right.
if we got to see that, I think it would be kind of mind opening and really put things in perspective. And I know it did for my friend when she first got her Fitbit, and she noticed that literally she only slept an hour and a half. And as
Wow.
she
Wow.
started making some changes in her life, she got more rest each night. So eventually she got up to where she would get at least 6 hours of sleep per night of rest. So she went from like an hour and a half to 2 hours a night. And I mean, 8 hours. But only out of that 8 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours of actual rest to actually 6 of that. And that's pretty good. You know, ideally we want 8 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
But to go from an hour and a half, 2 hours to 6 hours, that's really huge. But that was a light bulb for her that I've got to change something.
Exactly.
That means something in my day-to-day life is out of balance, that my mind feels like it can't stop. And usually it's stress. And to experience stress in your sleep, that's not good. That's also a sign of something mentally broken. And you've got to deal with that. And one of the things that helped her was going to therapy.
Wow.
And for minorities, we think therapy is a cuss word. It's a bad word. I grew up hearing people say Black people don't go to therapy.
Nope.
And I didn't understand that. But I was like, okay. But maybe we need no therapy. Maybe we need to talk to somebody.
Right.
You know, I don't care if you go to your pastor, get some Christian counseling, whatever. Talking out your problems. Sometimes, a lot of times, I just have people a sounding board too. So I'm just talking out. I talk out loud because I can hear myself and I can do some things. But sometimes you need another person that can say, "Wait, you just said, did I just say that?" Yeah.
Right.
Let's deal with that. Because you know, they don't have to be a therapist, but I got some pretty good friends. You know, I got a great neighbor. You know, I got people I can call and say, "Hey, I want to bounce something off of you. I need a listening ear," or you know, "I need to talk through something." Okay. And the same thing, you know, my friends, you know, "Hey, I just need to talk through something." Okay. And I'll let them talk out loud, and I'll say, "Wait, I can't let you keep going because we got to deal with this." Because you realize you just said, and that's the answer to what you just, and they don't realize it. So sometimes it just takes something like that. But a lot of times we think therapy is a bad word, like it's a cuss word, and it's not. It's not. But we think it is. So a lot of times we got to change the stigma on ourselves, especially in the minority community. Like therapy is a bad thing, but it's not. It's not a cuss word. It's not a bad thing. You need to go.
Right.
Go. It's okay. Go to your pastor's appointment or go to somebody, but you know, a spa day is only going to do so much for you.
It's true. Very true.
Yep.
And the spa day ain't always the answer. That can release some stress and tension, but if you don't get to the root of your source, the source of your stress, it's going to keep coming and coming and coming. You're going to exhaust all this money going to spa treatments and all this kind of stuff when you just need to lay on somebody's sofa real quick, just for a little bit.
Yeah.
Just to talk to somebody and, you know, or whatever, and talk that thing out. So, Shena, I'm going to ask you, you know, how do we shift the stigma around mental health? You know, how do we get it to where it's not a bad word? It's not a cuss word, that we can accept that it's an issue, that it's not bad, but it's there to help us live full, productive lives.
Right. You know, it's something where you at some point you have to not be afraid of mental illness. You have to not be afraid of what you're going through. So many people say that it's bad. It's bad if you're dealing with depression. It's bad if you're dealing with schizophrenic. It's bad if you're dealing with, you know, all these things. It's like something is wrong with you. Well, what happened to you? And it's not your fault. You know, and I think that's another thing to realize. It's not your fault. You know, life happens, things happen. And so I think that's the number one thing. If we can get away from being scared of mental illness, if we get away from being afraid of it, I think that's where it can start the train of it's okay to deal with it. It's okay to talk to people about it. It's okay. And to stop saying that whatever happens in our home, you know, stays in our home. And so I've heard that too. It's like, okay, you don't tell our business to somebody else because they don't know what we're going through.
Right.
But that's what they're there to do, is to help us, you know, to get through what we're going through. Because if you're going through something with that person, you can't talk to the person that you're going through it with. Right. How can you bounce off ideas or get help from the person that you're having an issue with? the blind leading the blind. It's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. So that's why we have there's people out there that and I often say, I kind of refer to myself because that's what I want to do. I do want to help people in that capacity. So excuse me. So we're there to help, to make sure that you can get the proper help that you need. If it's medication, if it's just you need someone to talk to, something to where, okay, like you said, I need to bounce this off of you because I've been going through this, I've been going through that. So if you just, if we get away from being afraid of it, then I think that will again help the train to go and for us to accept, mental illness.
Right. I think something you said was very important too, that really kind of resonated in my mind. I think part of it is we're not free of people. Mm-hmm. As a society, we care so much, entirely too much, what other people think and feel about. It's like other people's opinions matter so much more. But I'm like, you can't pay your bills with other people's opinions. Like you can't go through life like that because it's toxic to you. You if you go through life trying to live up to other people's standards of you, that's probably the source of your stress right there.
Right.
That's probably the beginning of it. And I think, when you see people who've gone through, like Amy Winehouse really suffered a lot, and they found later on depression and a lot of different things. And the guy who just killed himself from the rock group, and all these people who commit suicide, who was it? Robin Williams, and a lot of these people who battle depression and all this stuff, a lot of times it really boils down to kind of trying to live up to standards and expectations that nobody even imposed on them. A lot of times we superimpose stuff on ourselves that we are never intended to carry. Like we have expectations that we're not supposed to have of ourselves. Right. But where do those expectations come? Because we're measuring ourselves against other people. Why? Who said that was the standard for our lives or for us? But because the world or the system or whatever it is in our minds that we think is the it thing, or if I get to here, then this is the thing. We do damage to ourselves, So Coach Nadia, what do you think is a way that we can kind of shift the narrative, so to speak, of mental health and helping people to understand what it is not, so they're not afraid to have those conversations. Like Shanae said, I can't come talk to the person that I got issue with. If you're the source of my stress, if you're the reason why I had to create multiple personalities in the first place, and this is an extreme case, I'm just saying, because mental health is not always just extreme cases like that. Mental health, it could be just so much that you have a lot of anxiety and stress and worry and fear and all these other kind of things. But if you're the reason why I have all this stuff, why am I talking to you? Because talking to you is only going to increase my anxiety and my stress and all that kind of stuff. So what are your thoughts on that?
That Shanae made a very good point. For me, I would just look at the history. Look at the family history. Like, okay, some things are hereditary, but if I have anger issues or if I am depressed, who can I reference to in my family that has actually gotten help? Okay, y'all say it's a stigma in the culture, but who's getting help? We live and die in these stigmas, quote unquote, cultural, stigmas. I keep using that word, but
it's true.
And me personally, I think that do research. look into it. You know what I mean? We're in a society where Google is like water. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
You're praying.
It's like you have so many resources available to you. If you can't afford to go to a counselor or a doctor, or you don't have someone you can confide in, YouTube. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that that's the end all be all, but there's ways to get around the stigma of thinking that mental health is a problem. Because if I'm not getting any better, look, y'all just gonna have to make fun of me. I'm going to see a counselor. Right. I'm going to use resources available to me. So I would say, do research. Look at your family history. If my family's always been broke, I need to end that cycle. Something is wrong.
Yeah.
So I would just, that's my suggestion.
And I think you just made a valid point. A lot of times the source of our stress is lineage, is generational. Yeah. So if I'm stressed about finances and I don't want to be in this situation anymore, I'm going to get financial counseling, because if I get financial counseling, then now I'm mentally free because I don't have that anxiety and stress. Right. See, we got to break out this box that counseling has to be one way.
Nope.
Because it's different kinds. If it's just like if you have an addiction, you're going to go to the addiction center that addresses your issue, whether it's a sex addiction, an alcohol addiction, opioid addiction, I'm addicted to shopping, whatever it is. You're going to talk to somebody. There's a support, or even a support group. You might join a support group that's going to help you stop shopping. That's going to hold you accountable. See, sometimes you just need accountability partners. Exactly. You might just need somebody, just like if you want to get physically fit and you got a coach. That coach is there to hold you accountable, but they're going to, like, Coach Nadia is going to deals with you as the whole person, because she wants you to be whole. You better watch the Cool Spotlight too to find it out. But she wants to deal with the whole person. You know what I mean? So you need somebody that can hold you accountable for every area of your life that you want to deal with, that you are not satisfied with, that's causing you mental anguish, that may be playing a mental mind game on you. People who are hypochondriacs need to be talking to somebody, because why are you a hypochondriac? Where did that come from? Because if it's not in your lineage, that means a seed of fear has been planted in you, that you think every time you have a tick, tinge, itch, whatever, something wrong with you. And now you're on WebMD, self-diagnosing, and you going to the doctor telling the doctor what's wrong with you, when there's probably nothing wrong with you. But mentally, you put this on yourself, and now those symptoms are manifesting in you. Because where the mind goes, the body follows. So now your mind has told your body that this is wrong. And so now what's happening? Your body is going to start manifesting what your mind has told it is wrong with you.
That's so true.
So, and I think it boils back to, like Shanae said, you gotta stop being afraid of dealing with stuff. Right. Get free. Honey, there's nothing better than being free. That's like staying on the job that you know is stressing you to all get out and ain't paying nothing work. Right. If you got 2 part-time jobs that can sustain you and you ain't got the stress, but you got a full-time job and it's stressing you to all get out, and you got a full-time job and 2 part-time jobs, and those 2 part-time jobs making it do what it do, why are you still holding on to that full-time job that's stressing you?
Right.
For some benefits?
Right.
When you can get some benefits. So, but a lot of times we don't think like that. We think that we have to have it this way. We live in a time now that nothing is the way it used to be. Back in the day, you get you a good government job, you stay there for 20 years, retire, and that's how it used to be. Or you get you a good, you go to college, or you go into the military, you get you a good job, you stay on that job for 99,000 years until you get retirement, but that's not how the way it goes. Why? Because the economy is not the same. People don't. This ain't about loyalty and work ethic. This is about, because companies ain't loyal to you. Whole lot of people losing their job. Whole lot of folks, getting laid off every day. Companies fold every day. Companies that's been around for 100 years fold every day. Why? Because for whatever reason. So we don't live in the same system. So people have anxiety. I just want to stay on the job and retire and have a long-term job with good benefits. Okay, that's great. But realistically, in this climate, is that work? But is that for you? Because that may not be your path in life. You want something that's not your path in life. Maybe you ain't supposed to be working for somebody. Maybe you're supposed to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
But on the flip side, some of y'all want to be an entrepreneur, and okay. Some of y'all want to be an entrepreneur, and you need to be working for somebody. Because just because you're good at what you do, don't mean that you can have your own business. Case in point, I know somebody who's an accountant, very good at what she does, but very poor at running a business. Doesn't know anything about customer relations. Doesn't know anything about anything but accounting. You need to be working for somebody. Just because you want to be independent and work for yourself. What y'all think, what some people think being an entrepreneur is not what it is. It's work.
Yeah.
Not at all.
It's work. And there's some finesse to it.
Yeah.
You got to network, and networking is an art. It's not an act. It ain't going around dealing out your business cards like you finna play a game of spades and round robin and walk out the door. You need to introduce yourself, have a conversation. It's relationship building, but people don't want to do any of that. They just want to get the business. You don't know anything about customer relationship. You don't know about maintaining a relationship, let alone starting a relationship and building that relationship. We just want the money.
Yeah.
That's not entrepreneurship. You just probably need to invent a concept and sell it to somebody and let them do it. That might be what you do. But so some people, we have a mindset, and that creates stress, and that's not healthy for us in our minds. And then sometimes we're not realistic. I just had this conversation with my neighbor. I'm like, you got to get realistic. What you thought it was going to be ain't what it is. You got to get realistic and maybe change the way you're thinking so that you can move forward and act in a way that you need, so you ain't homeless somewhere, or so you don't end up somewhere you don't want to be. And so sometimes we got to put things in perspective and even with myself, I'm like, okay, I got to get realistic. Because what I'm thinking is, okay, I got big goals, but baby steps. Yeah, I can do all things, and I know God can make it possible. Nothing is impossible. That's fantastic. Yes, that's true, and I believe that. I will not stop believing that. But sometimes I got to get realistic with myself, and be like, okay, it's not realistic for me to want to lose 25 pounds. I don't work out. I don't eat right, and I'm up eating all night. That ain't got nothing to do with God. That's me.
Right.
And somewhere mentally, I've got to change my mind. You see what I'm saying? Somewhere mentally, I have to change my mind. Okay, why do I think God gonna do all the work and I'm not gonna do no work myself? Faith without works is dead. I gotta put in the work. So people are like, girl, you lost a lot of weight. What did you do? I put in the work. I changed how I ate. It's a decision, girl. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know what to tell you, and just keep being fat, sloppy, and taking pills, because I'm not gonna do it. I don't know. I love you, but I'm sorry. I'm not gonna do it. I choose to not do that. Like, okay, that's fantastic. But if you want to eat pork every day, and I mean 4 times a week out of 7 days a week, and not work out, guess what? You finna have high blood pressure and probably diabetes too. If you got a high-fat diet and you don't exercise, not even moderately, meaning get out and walk around your block, you're going to have some problems. I choose not to eat like that. I choose to eat differently. So I understand that I can lose 2 or 3 pounds a week just on diet alone. So if I can add that with exercise, if I don't do nothing but walk around the block, if I don't do nothing but park my car far in the end of the parking lot and walk to the store, if I don't do nothing but put on my Pilates video or my kickboxing video, I'm going to do something. But you have to do something. It starts with you. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes, I stopped eating canned vegetables a long time ago. I'll do frozen and fresh, but I stopped eating canned vegetables. I don't eat anything out of a can. I don't care if it's fruit cup. I don't care. I don't. because I read labels and I know what's in there.
Preservatives, yeah.
I told my family the same thing. Stop buying canned. If you're going to buy anything frozen or fresh, stay away from canned stuff. Now, you ain't got to do it. I'm just telling you. But you ain't got to do it. You know what I'm saying? Now, I ain't giving up my bacon. I'm telling you right now. I love y'all. Y'all on that turkey bacon foolishness. I did that for a while. I'm going to have my bacon. I'm not eating bacon, a whole pan of bacon every day. I don't eat bacon every day. But I ain't giving up my bacon because pork fat rules. I'm sorry. I'm going to eat my bacon. Okay? I'm going to eat my bacon. And I don't know what to tell you. But, you know, it's like, okay, you know, I cut back on rice. I don't really do rice. You know, give me some quinoa and some couscous and I'm happy. You learn to change and shift. But guess what? It started here. Because at first I was like, ooh, that's nasty. But it was just like, okay, no, you're going to discipline yourself to do this. And water. Getting my 2 liters of water in every day. Folks will tell themselves water's nasty. It ain't got no taste to it. It ain't this, it ain't that. It's not supposed to. But it's good for you.
Yeah.
We've had this conversation. So that's why I had to trick my mind. I understand how my mind works. And once I figured out how my mind works, I disciplined myself. So now I got my 1 liter bottles. I got 2 of them. So now it's time for me to wash them. But guess what? After I wash them, I'm going to fill them back up. And I get my 2 liters every single day. But when I don't have these bottles, I may not even get my 2 liters. I may not even drink anything all day. And that's not good. You got to hydrate your body every day. But again, I had to tell my mind and start, you know, sometimes we got to work with our mind. A lot of times we don't want to work with our mind. But you got to work with what you got.
Right.
And, you know, so a lot of times changing the stigma of mental health and mental illness, we always go to the extremes. Like you in a psych ward somewhere and you got to do this and all this kind of stuff. When, yes, that's part of it, but that's not all there is.
All of it. Right.
Like people get upset with postpartum moms. Why? That's real. You get mad at a rape victim for 20 years later finally speaking out. You be raped and see how long it takes you to be free.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's shame associated with certain things. I think, and shame is just a form of fear.
Yeah.
But shame is not easy to get over, let alone expose. It takes a lot of courage to kind of come out and have certain conversations about things that have happened to you in your life. But if you don't have those conversations, sometimes you can't get free and you don't realize that those experiences are still controlling you. They're controlling your actions. They're still in your mind, and it's a source of strain, of pain and stress. So what happens is when you run into something that's similar to that or triggers that experience in your mind, you tense up. Now you have anxiety. Now you have stress. Now your mind is racing and now you're trying to focus on everything else.
Yeah.
There's that highlight reel of to-do list because I'm focusing on everything else because I don't want to face this over here. So I'm going to be over here. I want to face this right now. But sometimes facing this, you know what I'm saying, is what we have to do.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it boils down to kind of changing that narrative and that discussion of what mental health looks like. And realizing that, you know, a lot of times, again, we always want to go to the far extreme. Instead of just dealing with simple stuff that's right here. Like Coach Nadia said, it might be something so simple as, I'm tired of lack and debt. It's been in my family for years, and that's a source of frustration. So I want to get over that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to get me a financial counselor. There's nothing wrong with that. Like Shanae said, you might have come from what you don't be telling people our business and da 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 da. But how else am I going to know how to deal with what's going on in the house? Because I can't talk to you because you part of the problem. Because all we're doing is recycling time in the house. You know, it's just it's just crazy. You know, it's just crazy. And so, you know, one of the things that I think we need to understand about our minds is that our minds are like computers. If you just think about it for a minute, you know, our minds, they store information. But think about this. What happens to a computer when we don't shut it off?
It dies.
It dies. it slows
Yep.
down.
Or
It may as
Yep.
well slow. It may as well die because some of them slow down so slow. You just be like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm thinking about my laptop.
Then look, and then when we want to reboot it, it takes 99,000 years for
Right.
it to reboot, and when it come up, it's still slow.
Right.
The more,
Mhm.
the thing about a computer is the more memory it uses, the slower it functions.
Right.
So when the
Yeah.
computer is not updated or needs to be updated, it slows down. But then when we do finally decide to update, it's 145, 150 files, 300. One time I had a friend, a colleague, I swear to you, he never shuts his computer down. He never updated. He had 300 some odd updates for his computer. I was like, how
Wow.
do you function? He was like, I just make it, because he was a computer programmer, so he knew how to work around that. But most of us normal people, you know what I'm saying, who are
Yeah.
not tech people, you have,
Right.
if you got 50, because sometimes when the updates come, it be like 20 or 30, 50, especially if it's your virus protection. It's going to really have a lot of patches and all of this stuff.
Right.
I can always tell when my computer is doing an update. Everything slows down. And I'm just like, why is everything slow? Then it'll hit me. It's probably doing an update. And then I'll go and I'll look and I'll say, okay, well, then this means it's time for me to take a break. And that's the perfect time. I'm going to go eat. I'm going to do this. And I'll come back. I'll do the restart. And boom, we
Ready to go.
We good. But when you need an update and you don't update it, that computer going to go slow and slow and slow and slow because it doesn't have all it needs to keep up with the operating system. Your brain is the operating system of your body.
Right.
Yep.
When it don't shut off, the rest of us slow. Like Coach Nadia, she can tell when her folks ain't got no sleep. Mine are all jacked up. They ain't ate, they rushing, they late, all this. They ain't got no energy. It's all it is. Your body follows because guess what? Your mind your brain is the central. It's the CPU of your body.
Absolutely.
So for you, Coach Nadia, as we round out the program, in your line of work, how do you encourage your clients to be mentally fit? And like, are there tools you give them to exercise their minds, even if that means shut it down and do a mental reboot?
That's a great question. One of the things and I'm working on becoming more specific with this because I tend to generalize it with all of my clients and not, it's not a one size fits all type of scenario. But in the beginning, what I used to do was tell them to plan out their day, including their training with me, just to get some clarity. I mentioned earlier, we do meditation. I talk to them about meditating first thing in the morning where your mind is fresh, where you don't have anything going on, no distractions. And I also like to tell people to get in touch with themselves. What are you feeling? Because I'm very big about emotions. For a very long time, I never dealt with them. I had up so many walls, like I didn't even know who I was.
Right.
So I encourage my clients to really deal with their emotions. Why does this frustrate you? Why are you crying because somebody took your water? Like what's really going on? Because
it ain't about no
exactly. What is the actual root? Why is this your routine? A big thing for me too is their daily routine. Why are you late to work? You have a vehicle. I feel like anybody who has a vehicle, you should not be late. Even if something comes up, you shouldn't be an hour late to where you're supposed to be at an appointed time.
Come on.
It just says a lot about your character and your values. But I just try to incorporate those things because one thing about being in the profession I am, you have to be careful. You have to earn people's trust. You don't want to go down a list of what you should do. I have to earn their trust, get into that personal space of theirs, and then be able to make those recommendations. So that's what I typically recommend.
Shanae, what do you think are some things that people can do? What are some exercises or things that you may have done in the past, to kind of help exercise your mind and kind of give yourself a good mental reboot?
For me, I do affirmations for myself. For the longest time, I dealt with low self-esteem. I felt like, at one point, I felt like I wasn't doing anything with my life. Even though I was in school, I still felt like I needed to do more. And so affirmations really, really helped me. A lot of people don't like motivational quotes, but sometimes they help for me. Sometimes they do encourage me, to get my day started. Even if I'm having a bad day and I read something, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that speaks to my situation. Another thing is journal, also, and get all your feelings out. Nobody, journals can't talk back. So, you can say whatever you want to say, and, just write it down and get it out. And when you write it down, let it go. Just write it down and just let it go. Don't pick it back up. Sometimes you can go back and read over it. But and another thing, like you said too, Coach Nadia, plan your day. Make sure that you have time to do certain things. And if you don't have time for it, there's always the next day. You don't have to cram everything in one day, because when you cram it in one day, then you feel overwhelmed. You feel like you can't get anything done. You don't have enough time. Then it's like, oh, well, I don't need to sleep.
Right.
Yeah, you do need to sleep. You do need to rest. So you start sacrificing food. You start sacrificing sleep. You start sacrificing personal time to get through your long list of your do's and don'ts. So prioritize, and just to make sure that what you can do that day you can, and if it can wait, let it wait.
Right. I think it's sad that a lot of times we don't address our mental health and maintaining our mental health until we get to a point where we're crashed. Like we literally, our bodies, everything crashes, and we end up sleeping for 2-3 days, or, your doctor has to prescribe mandatory vacation and all this other kind of stuff. I think it really is sad that it takes extreme measures like that to get us to really take better care of ourselves mentally. But I think if we do the tips here, and like we said, manage your day, get organized, but don't be afraid to face some stuff and deal with some stuff. I think the biggest thing too, be kind to yourself. Like Shanae said earlier, don't be so hard on yourself. Life happens, stuff happens, and it rarely happens at a time of our choosing.
Right.
Yeah.
Very
That's
true.
just how it goes. You know what I mean? Hey, that job didn't work out. Oh, okay. Oh, that relationship didn't work out. Oh, okay. But, and sometimes all it takes is just a baby step. It might just be a simple change. One of the things we talked about with author Ganae about financial management and health is, cutting back. If you're doing something 80%, see if you can cut back to 70%. Do a baby step. You may not be able to quit something cold turkey, because withdrawals are real, and you don't want to have a relapse. It's like Coach Nadia said, and we talked about the body. You can lose 50 pounds in a short amount of time, but it's coming back with some friends. It's coming back with some friends. Why? Because you're not doing it the right way.
Exactly.
When you're taking care of your mind, it's the same thing. You want to make sure that this is a long term, that you're free long term, that this stuff doesn't come back, that you find a way to maintain your sanity. That's really what we're talking about here. Just maintain your sanity. But how do I do that? How do I even gain it, let alone maintain it? Do little stuff. Meditation is your friend. Take time to journal. Breathe, exhale, change your environment. Get outside, get some fresh air, get in touch with nature. I love the beach. Water calms me. I had somebody one time, I was like, listen, water calms you. You need to get around some water. I don't care if you find a lake at a park somewhere local, but you need to get around some water. You know what I mean? Yeah. Some people like to go camping. I have a colleague now, his happy place is camping. If he can go camping, he comes back and it's like, and when he starts slowing down, I'm like, you need to go camping. He was like, yep, I need to go hiking. I need to go camping. I need to go hiking. I need to get back in nature because that's my happy place. And everybody has a happy place. If you don't know what your happy place is, find it. Identify it for yourself, because it will help you kind of get centered and get focused and really, but don't be afraid to deal with some stuff. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Find a safe place for you. Get a support group. There's all different kinds of things you do. There's different extremes. And when we're talking about mental health, it doesn't always have to be the extreme like we were saying. It runs the gambit, but be willing to face some stuff so that you can be efficient and really live a full, productive life, because you can have fun. People talking, I don't have time for vacation. I don't have to have time to have fun. You got time to die? I mean, I hate to be morbid, but at the end of the day, some doctors have to tell people, you ain't got time to take vacation, you got time to die. because these numbers right here are telling me that you're ready to die.
You're gonna die. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people work themselves into the grave, and because they mentally didn't take time away, you have to step away and just be like, woosah.
Right.
I don't care, even at your desk, you just be like, okay, you know what? I just got this ignorant email. I'm about to woosah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You might have to pick up the phone and say, listen, I'm about to go ham up in here. I need you to talk to me. Calm me down. I need you to pray. You know, or text somebody. You might be in a meeting with some foolishness and you just like, pick up your phone, text somebody, I need prayer because I'm about to go. This meeting is ignorant and it's getting on my nerves. And you know what I mean?
Right.
Get somebody that can speak a word and pray for you or help calm you down and say, okay, breathe, relax, you know, da. And, you know, somebody that can be a happy person that kind of give you that balance, that medium, so that you can kind of, okay. But please take time for yourself. So I'm going to let Coach Nadia and Shena share any closing thoughts that they have about, you know, really self-care as it relates to the mind and really, you know, establishing healthy mental habits for yourself so that you can maintain them as well. So Coach Nadia, we'll start with you. What are some closing thoughts that you have for us?
Well, I just wanted to say that as an individual, your mental health is very important because it basically determines your functionality throughout the day. So I would just say always learn how to declutter. Take some time out to understand what you're feeling and how you're feeling in the moment. Deal with it. Don't be afraid to be emotional. Don't be afraid to acknowledge what those emotions are, because in the end, if you don't, it just turns into a bigger issue. So I just always encourage anyone to love yourself, take care of yourself, and face who you really are. There's nothing wrong with it. We all need help, and we all need to see the ugly sides of ourselves. So I just think it's important to take advantage of really getting to know yourself.
That's good. Shena, what are some parting thoughts that you have with us for today on self-care, the mind?
When the world pushes at you, push back. Push back 10 times harder. Make sure, like Coach Nadia said, you take time for yourself. Make sure you love yourself, and just make sure you do what's best for you. You know, what may be best for someone else may not work for you, but find something that works for you. If it's writing, if it's drawing, if it's, you know, walking, camping, for, you know, what Dr. Hughes had for her friend, you know, whatever it is, you know, make sure you take time for yourself and just meditate and love for yourself. So yeah, that's
cool. We got to go because I think Coach Nadia almost about to fall off of that stress ball. I told y'all she's in the gym. She's in the gym. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. We always have a good time. We always have some type of comic relief. But we go through real stuff. And, you know, hey, at least y'all know.
Yeah.
Like she ain't just talking about it, but she really doing it. So, if y'all not following her online, follow her on Yes Fitness. She's on Instagram. She's on Twitter. Y.E.S.Fitness on Instagram and Twitter. Yes. So, you know, she's got some stuff she's been posting. And, you know, so go out there and follow her and call her, get in touch with her because, you know, yeah, she can help you with all of this. So thanks for tuning in with us. We are going to be rounding out this topic on self-care. We will be talking about dealing with our spiritual health in our next segment. So, you know, just you guys take care of yourselves. Just take care of yourself. Love yourself more than you love some of the things that you're probably reaching for that's really causing excess stress in your life. Any predisposed or any type of expectations that you're superimposing on yourself that are just look at them and really get you a mentor or somebody who can help you hash through them to see how realistic they are. Because if they're unrealistic, maybe they can help you scale them down to where they are realistic. So just little stuff, but take baby steps. Be kind to yourself. Don't be afraid. And we'll see you next time. Remember to spread lots of love and light.